Hey everyone, my name is Aaron Knoll, and welcome to the first semifinal match of the Movie Battleground. Apologies for the lack of video for this quick segment. I am currently recording this not from my usual spot, so I don't have my camera with me, and my webcam's fucking shit, so I'm not going to use that. Thank you for tuning in despite this being a day late, as this is sure to be an entertaining match. Because on top of the great debates between Joe Farrelly and Jay Burnz, we also had a producer error. And by that, I mean I took a nap before the recording of this match and overslept by nearly an hour. While understandably, most situations in which this would happen, the players would have said, fuck it, got offline, and we'd just reschedule. Everyone involved with this match got together and found a way to make it happen. So I wanted to start off by just giving them their due and shouting them out. First off to Jay Burnz and Amberu Moses, both of Full Metal, for using their Full Metal StreamYard to record part of the match and getting me the footage. Also in legitimately taking their time and doing their best to make sure that they did it their best to their abilities to the rules, because I give them a little bit of joking shit in the video, but they really did do a great job. Also to Joe Farrelly and the three judges in this video, Chad Webb, Alejandro Hernandez, and Brian Nussbaum, for, again, playing their part, being on time, and going with the flow of getting the match started and getting it all done. Without these guys, this match would be coming to you way later than just a day late. So seriously, thank you guys for doing your part in keeping me on track, because it's rarely that I fuck up, but this was a hell of a fuck up. With that said, guys, enjoy the first semifinals match as we begin to wrap up our tournament on the Movie Battleground. Take
Aaron's looking mighty different, isn't he? Nah, I'm just playing. What up, family? It's your boy Amaru, and I'm here. Didn't know I was gonna be hosting this, but I'm doing it. I'm hosting. I'm judging. We just throwing this shit together because we got a debate to do, and it's one that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. So much so I had to hop in and see these two battle it out. So coming together for the next round of Movie Battlegrounds. I believe these gentlemen are not undefeated, but undefeated in this run because one of them defeated me. And then the other one defeated me way back ago. So I know this is going to be good. And today, who we have is Mr. Jay Burnz and Mr. Joe Farrelly, two titans of these leagues. But as you can see, we have our two competitors ready to go, ready to debate this thing. We'll start off with the man who beat me not too long ago. Beat me twice, actually. Man, that hurts. Anyway, Jay, the arsonist bird. Jay, how you feeling today? You ready to go with this one?
Why you gotta say it like that, baby? It's all woo out here. It's all woo out here. I'm not even gonna lie. I prepped for one round last time. I've prepped for absolutely 0 rounds this time. I just want to see if my belligerency, my loud voice, my boisterousness, and what I can come up with off the top of my head can fucking confuse my opponent enough to get me some points in this match. Not even gonna lie. I know Joe Farrelly knows his stuff, so this is gonna be a lot of fun. But I like to talk a lot of shit, and I can do it. If you go back to my match against Henry, And that Da Five Bloods question, I hadn't watched that movie yet, but I said everything that everybody wanted to say about that movie, and I still beat him. So, Joe, best of luck to you. But real quick before we get to you, hey, Aaron, this is what you get. This is legitimately what you get because you decided not to show up. There's a caveat to that. If you're dying in a ditch somewhere, I will feel bad. If you're not and you're stuck in class, well, that's on you because this is the anarchy that you bring upon yourself.
Chaos.
So yeah, we live in a society.
Chaos.
Wait,
Chaos
no.
it is. And I don't know whether or not he's awake. He has the day off, but Joe's down there looking like, yo, it's fucking like 5 o'clock in the morning. Why the fuck am I doing this? Probably not 5 o'clock. What time is it over there, Joe?
2:36 a.m.
Do you have the day off tomorrow?
I had today off. I have tomorrow off. I have Sunday off. I did only prep a little bit today because I have some other stuff that I'm really prepping hard for at the moment. But I'm not going to be as loud as Jay because it's 2:36 and my wife's asleep. But let's do it.
There you go. Hey, but you get to say wife. You get to say wife. So
yeah, I went to the gym today, so I haven't really worn it. So,
but anyway, I was going to mention he beat me in a couple debates. He beat me in a couple things on this channel as well. Who are you? Really? Those 3 words. Anyway, we're just going to go ahead and get to the first question. And the first question we have from these gentlemen, go around the realm of franchises, particularly action franchises. Now, there's been a bunch that have come out in the 2010s. But we want to know which one was the absolute worst. Now, for clarification points, they could pick some franchises that have begun in one decade, but had the majority of them in the 2010s. So the question we're going to present that they're going to argue is, what is the worst action franchise of the 2010s? Now, teleportation and chaos. Let's do it. Joe has elected to go first in questions 1 and question 3. So Jay's gonna drop himself in the back. You're gonna see my lovely avatar. And Joe, when you're ready to go, you will have 1 minute to start your debate.
Keep an eye on the live timer. Give yourself a frame of reference, buddy.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I'm gonna do.
All right. 1 minute when you begin.
When it comes to action franchises, the 2010s gave us some real joy. We got Skyfall out of Bond franchise. We got the John Wick trilogy. We got the best Mission Impossible sequels, but more on that later. But we also got some stinkers. We got the Transformers movies, but with the Transformers, you sort of got what you expected after what we got in the 2000s decade with those movies. I think what's worse is a franchise that has shown that it can deliver real quality and just punches you in the face instead. And this is why I have chosen the movies in the Terminator franchise to be the worst part of an action franchise in the 2010s. I think the movies we got in the 80s and the 90s were of very high quality, and what we got in the 2010s was the complete opposite of that, and just a travesty.
And time. All right. All right, Jay. I'm gonna hit my mic off, and you got 1 minute to give us your pick for the worst action franchise of 2010s.
We decided to be a little bit lenient on what the term action franchise meant. I went with a pick a little bit outside of the box, but at least continuously makes a little bit of sense. And if you want to talk about a franchise that continuously just goes downhill with every every next episode, I believe I have chosen the correct answer in the Alien franchise, specifically speaking about Covenant and Prometheus and Alien Covenant. These movies have just completely shit the bed when it comes to action, when it comes to what we wanted from what we wanted from Scott. At least with the Terminators, we kind of had a cohesive story, and you can blame any of the issues that you have on wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. Shout out to my English bros, but Alien is way worse than Terminator.
And that's time. All right. So we have Jay with the Alien franchise and Joe with the Terminator. We're now going to go over to Joe with his 2 minutes. To 2 minutes to expand on why he believes Terminator is the worst franchise of the 2010s. 2 minutes begin when you start, Jim.
In 2015, we were presented with Terminator Genesis, widely regarded as the worst movie in the Terminator franchise. And in 2019, we were given Dark Fate, a requel. It sought to erase mistakes of the past and bring the franchise back to its greatness. And it started well. I was on board when they killed John Connor off. But what followed was a rehash of what we've been given before. A Terminator more advanced than Arnie trying to kill the leader of the Resistance. You know, at least with Prometheus and Covenant, I can tell you the action sequences. You know, Shaw fighting with the engineer killing Wayland and attacking David. With Genesis and Dark Fate, I can tell you only basic plot, and that's because the big reveals like John Connor being a Terminator in Genesis was spoiled by the trailer. I think the benefit of the Alien franchise is that it kept, especially with Prometheus and Covenant, is that it kept Ridley Scott on board. This was Ridley Scott's vision. While this is a franchise with action in it, the first movie is a horror movie with some action scenes. The second one, undoubtedly an action movie. But I think by keeping Ridley Scott on board, he got to maintain his vision. He knows this franchise and he knew the direction he wanted to take it. The problem is with the Terminator franchise, we've had people like Alan Taylor and Tim Miller coming in and trying to change it. Alan Taylor, not really the best choice when he's directed one of the worst movies in the MCU. It was always other people coming in and trying to give their own take on it, but basically rehashing the same thing over and over again. With the Alien franchise, it sought to move on from that and ask some deeper questions while still having some action in it. So while it isn't action, does have action in the franchise, it's not its sole purpose within the Alien franchise. Terminator franchise, from Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Salvation, it's been about the action. And it hasn't got that right. And it hasn't, because it didn't maintain the visionary of James Cameron.
All right. Joe ends a couple of seconds early. We're going to move over to Jay with his 2 minutes to expand on why he thinks Alien is the worst franchise of the action franchise of 2010s.
The issue that I have with that is they completely just stopped with the whole this is going to be a suspenseful horror thriller type thing and moved into the more explosive type era of what action movies are supposed to be. My issue is that they took an actual intriguing story and then tried to create a backstory as to why this happens, when the best thing that they could have done was not make these movies in the first place. Because the existential dread and the horror that you feel when it comes to a cosmic horror entity like the fucking xenomorph is that you don't know its origins. Because as soon as you know something's origins, it becomes less and less creepy. It becomes less and less scary, especially when it was. I'll give you that, but we also agreed that this would be allowed and we wouldn't attack the fact that it started as a horror franchise and moved to an action franchise. This doesn't do anything. We literally have memes about these movies more so than your movies. Your movies are good in a certain light because you do have a fresh set of eyes on there. And James Cameron is not known for his greatest of takes. At least, you know, Ridley Scott came through and decided, hey, I want to create something and then I want to make it a religious allegory. You know what the worst part about any fucking movie is that's not named Superman? The religious allegory. Where does man come from? Do we come from a giant race of super beings who are hella white? You might have some problematic thoughts there. And if we want to really talk about what it comes down to, Covenant and Prometheus are still the worst portions of this franchise. Your movies at least bring something original with a new skin.
All right, gentlemen. So we're going to get into the freeform debate. We have 4 minutes. Try not to talk over each other too much. But with you two, we'll see how that works. Remember, Joe's wife is asleep. But 4 minutes when the first of you begins. Joe, you are muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted Joe. Sorry, Joe.
Ridley Scott knows this franchise, and he can take it in whatever direction he wants. The problem with the Terminator sequels is that they didn't have Cameron. You know, Cameron created this world and directed what are the only good movies in the Terminator franchise. The understanding of what makes that world is gone. What you've got Ridley Scott going, this is my franchise, this is the direction I'm going to take it in. And you've got other directors like, even though not part of this debate, but McGee and Alan Taylor and Tim Miller going, oh, we like what you did. Here's our version of it. It's not as good, but here it is.
I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention to anything that you said. My vape is locked, so I was trying to unlock it because I'm a little stressed in this situation. But the whole thing that you bring up is, yeah, you're adding new directors, which means that they get to create their vision when it comes to this IP.
But they didn't. They recreated James Cameron. Look at Genesis. It's literally the scenes from Terminator and Terminator 2 done with different actors.
I unlocked my vape. There's a little switch. You can say that all you want, but at least they brought something. They tried to innovate something. All Alien has done is try to explain the one thing that makes this franchise good, and that's how unexplainable the alien actually is and how it came about. I would much rather see a movie, especially a movie that plays with timelines as much as the Terminator movies play with timelines, explore what may or may not happen in other timelines. You might not like it, but guess what? It's a different timeline. Even if you say it's the same timeline, it's a different timeline because you're fucking with the present, you're fucking with the past, and you're fucking with the future. That changes shit. Guess what? They just decided we're going to start a prequel and say it's all about religion. Wayland wants to figure out what humanity is so he can become fucking immortal. I'm over this. I don't need that. This does not need to be full of religious iconography. We don't need that in a franchise. Whereas
the thing is, though, you talk about the innovation, but it's not innovation. All that Tim Miller did with his was saying, oh yeah, we're going to take this franchise in a new direction because we're going to kill off John Connor. But they're still basically going to go after the leader of the Resistance, send Terminator back in time and try to kill them. But it's a woman this time. That's literally the only difference. It's still the same basic plot points over and over again. Ridley Scott tried to do something innovative and different. And the thing is, he created different action sequences. You look at Terminator Genesis; it's the same sequences. Kyle Reese in the shop, at the Terminator at the observatory. It's those sequences done differently, but at least with
somebody takes a left turn instead of a right turn. That's something that I actually want to see, though. That's my whole point about bringing up.
The Alien Covenant at least gives us a xenomorph in a completely different scenario.
It doesn't even give it. No, it doesn't. It doesn't even give us. It gives us the prequel to a xenomorph, but we don't need the prequel to a xenomorph. We already have the most terrifying creature in all of fucking Aliens history. We don't need the backstory on it because as soon as you give it a backstory, it's not scary anymore.
But the thing is, you said it yourself. Not knowing the backstory doesn't make it scary. So, but we know the origins of the Terminator. We know them from the first Terminator. We know them from Terminator 2, Rise of the Machines. We know exactly where they came from throughout. So, therefore, by that logic, the Terminator can also not be scary.
That is absolutely not true because the thing that you have with the Terminator is a literal machine that gains omniscience, gains sentience, and then goes off and does its own thing. That's completely different. If I had a machine that decided, hey, I don't want to do what my fucking directive tells me to do, that's fucking scary.
We've seen in the Alien franchise with the original movies, this is a perfect killing machine.
But we're not talking about the originals. We're talking about the movies in the 2010s.
Exactly. This is the development of a perfect killing machine where it's still learning, so it's going to have to do things in different ways.
That's just it. Because you already said it yourself, and you were wrong when you stated it.
And that's time. All right. So we're going to come in the last minute. Joe, you have 1 minute for your closing argument. Joe will start that off, and Jay will finish it. Jay will drop to the back, and Joe, your last 1 minute will start whenever you finish. Whenever you start talking.
The Alien franchise is one that has stayed in the hands of its creator, one who knew the franchise and was able to take it in whatever direction he wanted. Compare Prometheus and Covenant to Alien Resurrection and Alien 3 when you had different directors take over, and you can't deny it's a franchise that has successfully gone back to its roots. It has action, but it's more than action, and not only is the action enjoyable, the surrounding story is intriguing and deeper and more than you'd find in a standard action movie. The Terminator franchise, on the other hand, has been handed over and over again for someone to try and get right. The story is repetitive, the casting is off, and the action is not memorable. I can tell you the scenes from Prometheus and Covenant. I already covered it. The fact of the matter is, and Jay said it himself, not knowing its origins doesn't make it scary. We know the Terminator's origins from the beginning. That's why Terminator and Terminator 2 are the only ones that worked. With the Alien franchise, you've got a killing machine that was already perfect, but you take it back to its roots where it's not quite perfect. It gives it a new angle and something different for the audience to connect with and to be fearful of.
That's time. All right. So I'm going to drop Joe to the back, bring Jay back out. Jay, 1 minute for your closing argument. Time starts when you begin talking.
Actually, if you think back to what I said not knowing an alien's origin is what makes it scary, because the imagination is probably the most fearful thing that a human being can have. So knowing the origins of the Terminator don't make it scary in that, but we're not talking about scary. We're talking about an action movie. We're talking about an action movie that deals with time, especially time travel, where any little thing can change the world. One thing. And that's what we get in these. And now we're getting a different perspective, because we don't have one singular person sitting here saying, hey, this is my vision. This is the way that I want to go with it. This is another person's interpretation with it. With Ridley Scott, all we have is, I don't know. What should I do? I'm going to make it religious again, because that's the way that I think that it should be. Alien Covenant and Prometheus just do not work flat out as action movies, and the worst part about it is that they are action movies.
All right. So that was a great debate between you two. We're going to bring out the first set of judges, as we have 4. We're going to rotate this one. So for this first one, Jay, go ahead out to the back. Bring out Chad and Alejandro. All right. So I'm going to begin off, but when we come around to you, just give us who you chose for this round, and as quickly as possible, what sold you. For me, I'm going to have to say for this one, I think that Joe's argument about Ridley at least continuing his vision and continuing on with what he had, I had that over Jay's the new fresh set of eyes and not wanting to go back over religious allegory. I think Joe really hit it hard when he said all that the fresh eyes did was recreate James Cameron's vision again. So I'm giving my points to Joe. Chad, who'd you give your vote to?
Yeah, I also went with Joe, basically for everything you said. But I mean, he also just basically said that, Prometheus adding a lot of that other stuff is basically like deepening the lore and everything like that. And I thought that was kind of great.
All right. So with that, I know how TMG does it. Since we already have the decision, Alejandro, your job is done for now. And we will.
I showed up.
Hey, you did. But we will see you a little later. We'll move on to question 2 and the chaos that will ensue for question 2 on. We don't know. Let's see right now.
You got this.
I fucking hope. All right, guys. Well, this has been a shit show so far, and it's all my fault, but we're back. Shout out to everybody else involved here for not only being on time, but making sure this actually happens. So let's not fuck around anymore and just go from the jump. It is currently 1-0 in favor of Joe. So we're going to go ahead and move into question number 2, which is, what is the best performance by an actor or an actress in a video game film? And on this one, Jay, you are up first.
Yes, I am.
So unless Amaru wants to continue to use his mind and fingers, I can bring the timer into the match with just 1 second.
Continuity's sake. Continuity's sake.
I mean, we've just been using the timer in the corner.
We really have. Whatever's clever. Nice. Oh, okay.
All right.
Continuity sake doesn't count as my fucking opening statement, Aaron.
I'll review
fucking
the first
sleepy
30
fuck.
minutes and see. I'll review the first 30 minutes.
Oh, you mean the first 30 minutes where you weren't here?
Yeah, at some point. All right, Jay, go ahead. Time starts and you begin speaking.
That doesn't count as my... This doesn't count either. Fucking calm down. So the question is what is the best performance by an actor or an actress in a video game film? I think a lot of people tend to forget that voice acting is still acting, and the fact that you don't have anything to go off of while you're doing ADR is still acting. So I went a little bit of a more weird, I went a weirder route with this one, but I chose Ben Schwartz from the Sonic movie, because not only does this man hit the Jaleel White of the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s Sonic cartoon, he embodies the sarcasm, he shows the joy, the passion for this video game character, and brings it to light in a way that nobody else has been able to do in almost 30 years. Nobody wanted this movie, and the fact that he did as good of a job as he did voicing this character really made this movie pop. So I'm going Ben Schwartz as the best performance in a video game movie as Sonic the Hedgehog.
Gotcha. There's a little internet lag at that moment, so you were all good within that
Okay.
sense. Joe, 30 or a minute on the clock for you. Time starts when you begin speaking.
Video game movies, for the most part, have a very bad reputation. However, in recent years, we've actually been given some that have actually been enjoyable. And I think in recent years, the two of the standouts have been Sonic the Hedgehog and Detective Pikachu. So it's only right that the best performances come from the better video game movies. So it's a tough choice. But I think Justice Smith actually gives the best performance in any video game movie. I think he provides a likable lead, portrays the inner turmoil of someone who believes he has now lost both parents, whilst still giving the audience the laughs that come from a sort of fish out of water story, which is what it becomes. And not only that, it's a bit of a breakout performance, because he's relatively new. He's given the role of lead in a film that has Ryan Reynolds in the voice. And I think sometimes that's overlooked when you've got someone like Ryan Reynolds as the draw for your movie. You still need to have the lead be likable and relatable. And I think Justice Smith really proves that through his performance in Detective Pikachu.
And time. All right. So because I missed the first round, just so you guys know, I'm trying something new here. I have graphics to display to help our audience. So if you see an image pop up, don't be shocked. Just keep going. Jay, time starts when you begin speaking.
This is my 2 minutes, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. The thing about it is the individual that my opponent has chosen is replaceable in every facet. He does absolutely nothing. Is he able to talk to this person or this Pikachu? Yes, he is. But the plot deems that necessary. So you could literally remove Justice Smith from this and it would still be the same if they just changed one thing in the plot. I don't think a plot convenience should be your biggest hindrance or what you hinge your entire argument on when you say that this makes a great performance. It's a good performance, yeah, but you could literally have anybody else there, and he's not even the lead character in the movie. Ryan Reynolds is the lead character in this movie. There's no doubt about that. Ben Schwartz is also the lead character in the Sonic movie because it's called Sonic the Hedgehog, but he is actually able to communicate with more people than just the cop, the eternal cuck. I'm not going to say his name because that's just mean. We'll just call him the eternal cuck at this point in time because everybody knows. James Marsden. It's there. Sorry, I had to say it. I had to say it. But my whole thing about this is Sonic not only has interactions with James Marsden's character, he has interactions with multiple people, and he shows a multi-dimensional character. He shows somebody who can show regret. He shows somebody who can be a sarcastic asshole, play against the emotions of another individual, feel sorrow for what he's done, and not want to hurt anybody, but is still kind of a fish out of water. When it comes to Detective Pikachu, when it comes to Justice Smith, he lives in this world. He just doesn't like Pokemon. That's cool. And he learns to because he gets the bond with his dad. That's not a great start. That's not a great thing. It's just him having father-son time with like a tertiary individual, a third character there. It's essentially therapy for him, but it wasn't necessary. That story
makes time. All right, Joe, back over to you for 2 minutes.
First of all, Jim Carrey gives the best performance. First of all, Jim Carrey gives the best performance in Sonic the Hedgehog. He was what the movie-going audience went to see. Jim Carrey was back to his eccentric ways. Second on the list of why people went to see that movie was to see what Sonic actually looked like, because people complained, the studio listened, the audience responded. People went to Detective Pikachu for Ryan Reynolds, I agree, but Justice Smith is the lead. And without a strong performance from the lead, without a character that is likable, your movie doesn't work. Now, Catherine Newton showed her skills in this movie, but she's not the lead. And as I've already said, without a strong lead, someone the audience can connect with, your movie can't work. Justice Smith is the lead of Detective Pikachu, and his performance drives the movie. You know, you have his emotional journey through that. You already know very, very early on that his mother has passed away, and it's through the way the plot goes that he believes his father has died, and you see that emotional journey he goes on, the way he bonds with Detective Pikachu. The point is, he gives the emotional performance. You know, it's very not easy, but it's a lot easier to sit in a recording booth and give the other actors the harder work to do, because James Marsden has to do the harder work. He has to pretend he's acting to something. He has to give the emotional response to something that's not actually there. You even look at the poster for Sonic the Hedgehog. Jim Carrey is much, much more prominent there because that is the driving of the movie. It may be the titular character, but it's not the lead. James Marsden is the lead. There's a difference between titular and lead. So without that strong performance from your lead, without giving your audience someone to connect with, an emotional journey to follow, you don't have a movie. If you told me tomorrow that Ben Schwartz had been recast, I'd be like, okay, because even with the sequel, they're going to see Jim Carrey again, and they're going to see Idris freaking Elba.
And that is time. All right. Without any context to the audience, that meme is fucking hilarious. And let's go ahead and go into the 4-minute open debate. The time starts when you begin speaking.
I don't think I don't think you understand what the word titular means, and it comes from the English. Titular character means the character who is named in the title.
Yeah.
Also, by that definition, it would be Detective Pikachu, because it's not Tim Goodman meets Detective Pikachu. Your main character is Detective Pikachu. and you could literally replace anybody else. Again, this is what I'm saying, but also Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog.
I think you misunderstand my point. I've said Sonic and Detective Pikachu are the titular characters, but they're not the leads.
They are the leads of their movie. They are legitimately the leads of their movie. Your movie doesn't happen without everything that happens with R. Without Ryan Reynolds going and investigating and then being transferred into the body of Detective Pikachu, that shit doesn't happen. The entire crux of your movie revolves around Ryan Reynolds. The entire crux of my movie revolves around Sonic the Hedgehog. Guess what? Ryan Reynolds gives the better performance in that movie. Ben Schwartz as Sonic the Hedgehog gives the better performance in my movie, because you have this staunch asshole in James Marsden who really is kind of not wanting to be the cop in this little fucking village. Sorry, town, hamlet.
And through his interactions with Sonic, he develops and changes and grows like a lead does.
So thank you for making my point for me.
That James Marsden is the lead of your movie?
No, that Sonic is, because without Sonic, none of that would have happened, which means that you need Sonic and you need Ben Schwartz as Sonic in order for that to happen. Whereas what you have...
Ben Schwartz does what Ben Schwartz does best. You know, he brings the energy, he brings the quips, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's nothing stand out about it. If you told me
that for the literally sequel, encapsulates Sonic the Hedgehog. It literally encapsulates what Sonic the Hedgehog is, though. That's just it. It's erratic. It's almost chaos incarnate. But guess what? There are these touches, these heartfelt moments that happen. He even names Dr. Robotnik as Eggman. This is what you want in a movie, and this is what you need, especially when you're talking about a good performance. If you just threw anybody in there, it wouldn't work. In yours, you could literally replace Justice Smith and your movie would still work. That doesn't make a great performance. That doesn't make the best performance in the movie, especially when the best performance in your movie is overshadowed by a yellow rat.
But the fact of the matter is, like I've already said, the thing people went to see your movie for was to see Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's performance is the standout. James Marsden is the one that provides the emotional weight and the family plot device that's going on throughout that movie. Tim Goodman is a character that has lost his mother, now believes his father's gone too. Smith, despite the crazy adventure he's on, always gives a performance throughout that movie as someone trying to cope, not just with the craziness, but also with the overwhelming trauma of what he's going through.
He doesn't even try to cope. That's the worst part. He doesn't try to cope. That's the worst part. Is you want to sit here and say that he's going on some sort of existential journey to come to terms with what's happened. No, he's just laid down and given up. And until Detective Pikachu comes through, you just have a kid who's like, oh no, I don't want a Cubone because Cubone means my mom's dead and Cubone wears his mother's skull. Like, you're not making a very valid or poignant point here. What I'm trying to tell you is that...
I'm sorry, but throughout Justice Smith's performance, you see that you see the character development, you see the growth of the character, you see the change in the character. Sonic is the same from beginning to end.
What character is he in Pokemon?
Tim Goodman.
Okay, cool. Why do I need Tim Goodman? Why can't it be anybody else? What
that's more about the character, but the fact of the matter is it's the performance he gives. Yes, you could have written a completely different character, but then the movie's completely different. The fact of the matter is, it's Tim Goodman's journey. It's Tim Goodman's journey. That's the movie they gave you. Yes, you need Sonic for Sonic, but if you replace that voice actor with anybody else, it wouldn't bother anybody. If you told them the sequel was changed,
and time. All right, very heated discussion back and forth. We are going to go on to the 1 minute closings. Jay, you are up first. The time starts when you begin speaking.
I've said it before in this argument itself. Ben Schwartz embodied Jaleel White. Not in like, I'm going to mimic or meme him. He also embodied everything it is that Sonic is throughout his video games, throughout his TV shows, throughout his comic books, throughout all media. Ben Schwartz created a character and a persona that everybody sees as Sonic. You have literally chosen the character that absolutely could be played by anybody else. The emotional journey isn't about him. It's about the father. That's literally the story. You don't have a movie without Detective Pikachu. Justice Smith is just there, and my boy doesn't need to go on this dangerous mission. My boy needs to go to therapy because he's fucking myopic. At least with James Marsden, he comes to terms and he becomes a better fucking person, and it's all because of Sonic and his performance by Ben Schwartz.
All right, Joe, back over to you for the final minute. Time starts when you begin speaking. Jesus.
Justice Smith is the driving force of Detective Pikachu. Reynolds is the lore, the bait for the audience, but without a relatable protagonist, the audience will not connect. He gives an emotional weight to a movie about made-up creatures that fight each other. What Schwartz gives to Sonic is a good voice performance, but it's Carey who is the standout. If the studio announced tomorrow that it had recast Ben Schwartz, then the audience would still show up because Carey is returning and they've got Idris freaking Elba as Knuckles. The thing is, you say it's about having that journey with his father, it's about being the father, but until the last 10 minutes of that movie, he is suffering from complete memory loss. He is not that character. He is not that character until he pretty much shows up in human form at the end. It's a good performance from Ryan Reynolds. It's what the audience went to see, but throughout that movie, what you got from Justice Smith was a performance that had emotional weight to it. It had growth. It had character development. It had everything you want from a lead character. With Sonic, with Ben Schwartz, you got the energy, you got the quips, but there's nothing really, there's not much else to it.
All right, and I'll take that as time on the round, guys. Really good back and forth there. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back. What the hell?
Oh, good.
There we go. Send you guys to the back to await the decision. As I will bring in 3 judges. We have more judges than needed tonight, but that's not because of anything these guys did. That's because I didn't fucking show up. So rather than kicking any of them out, we're going to make sure they all get to stay, get some involvement in this game, and enjoy a hell of a fight that we are having. I mean, I don't know what happened. I guess Ridley Scott's a bitch, and now that these guys are talking about therapy and the Pokemon movie, and there's all sorts of crazy shit happening. Chad, I go to you first. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you?
This was really, really tough. These guys are both so good. It was a seesaw the whole time for me. Just talking about who's the lead of what movie. I mean, that kind of all seems irrelevant to me. It's like, what is the best performance? And the thing that came down to was Jay just kept saying that it was a really good Julia White Urkel impression. But then Justice Smith, I heard a lot more about the emotion that he brought to it, and he was the driving force for the film, and that's kind of just what stuck with me the most. So I narrowly went Joe.
All right, so the first vote does go to Joe. Alejandro, I move on to you, sir. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you?
I agree with Chad. It was incredibly close, and I love this match. It's so close together. I'm going again with a narrow Jay, only because I do think voice acting, I got a soft spot for voice actors, and voice acting I think is incredibly difficult when you don't have anybody there that can react to you or that can give you energy. You have to provide all of that. So that's why I'm going with Jay.
All right, which means, Brian, I go to you. You get the tiebreaker vote on this one. Who gets it, and what was the main point that sold it?
Yeah, I'll echo the other judges. There's such a great match. Voice acting I love, but I go with Joe. He took down Jay, talking about how Justice Smith character was more involved with it. With Jay, talking more about the voice acting, but with Joe, he talked more about the character-wise. So I'll go with Joe.
All right. Well, with that, Joe, we'll get the second point. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and ship you guys to the back as I bring in the competitors once again. All right, and we'll go ahead and move on to question number 3, which is, what is the best Adam Sandler directing pairing, or whatever wording you want to use on this question? Basically, I'm asking, I went through Adam Sandler's filmography. I pulled all the directors he has worked with more than once. They are listed for the competitors on the screen here. And from this list, these gentlemen had to pick a director, and they're arguing as to why their work overall is the best with Adam Sandler. The angle they approach it from can be any. They don't literally have to talk about Sandler's performance. Sandler's not even the lead in all of these films necessarily. I mean, he's the lead in most of them. It's Sandler. Who are we kidding here? But this is just about who made the best work overall, all encompassing. And so we'll go ahead and send it into the round. Joe, you are up first on this one, so the timer will come back in, and it will start when you begin speaking.
So from the list we had, Jay and I have managed to narrow that amazing list down to two people. For me, the answer is Frank Karachi, and for two movies in particular, because we're talking about with which director did he produce the best work. So therefore, I said to myself, out of this list, what is the best movie? What are the best movies from their work together? And for me, it was two. It was The Wedding Singer, and which remains for me Adam Sandler's best romantic comedy, and Click, which showed a side to Sandler's acting that I wouldn't have thought possible if I hadn't seen Uncut Gems before I saw Click. I think he gives a strong lead performance as a romantic comedy lead in The Wedding Singer, and he gives much more emotional side to Click, which was unexpected for me. And that's why I think his best work with these directors was with Frank Karachi.
All right, and that will be time on the round. Jay, I move over to you. The timer will restart ticking when you start speaking. 1 minute.
Dennis Dugan has had more hits than misses when it comes to directing Adam Sandler. And I think it goes to show the fact that he has done more movies with Dennis Dugan that make money, that draw people in, that make money in a certain aspect. A lot of the movies become cult classics more than anything else, and they are the ones that people talk about. And yes, you can see it. It is the it is the penultimate one on this list. Jack and Jill, kind of the ultimate memeable movie. It's not great whatsoever, but people remember it. Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, You Don't Mess with the Zohound, probably another one that people don't think of, but this is a great pairing, and people still quote these movies, and I think that that's what makes this the best pairing, is the simple fact that you have movies that aren't necessarily the greatest, but people still talk about, and people still converse about, and people are like, yeah, 5 of these 8 movies are still the best Adam Sandler movies. That's why this pairing is the best.
And time. All right, gentlemen, you are absolutely making the best of this question. With Adam Sandler, you can't find a pile of gold without stepping in like 2 to 3 piles of shit. So it is what it is. But Joe, back up to you for 2 minutes when you start speaking.
So I think with these two directors, you're left with really one argument. Which of these Sandler movies are better? The Wedding Singer and Click, or Happy Gilmore, Just Go With It, Big Daddy? Because of Sandler's work with Dugan, I think they're the only ones actually worth mentioning. With the two I've chosen to highlight, they not only showcase some of Sandler's best work with these directors, they also showcase the most range. Wedding Singer gives us the down on his luck, hopeless romantic, and Click gave us some deep emotional acting that was, at the very least, unexpected. Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy are the safe Adam Sandler is an overgrown man-child movies, and Just Go With It is a subpar attempt at recreating the magic of the likable, hopeless romantic lead that he gave us in Wedding Singer or 50 First Dates. I think this isn't about his worst work, because we could go on for hours. It's about which of these does he prove the best work with, and I think his best with Karachi is better than his best with Dugan. I'm happy to do my time now.
All right, absolutely. We'll go ahead and jump it forward a little bit. Let's see if we can catch it. Almost. All right, Jay, when the clock ticks down to 0, you can begin speaking. If you would like me to pause it to give you another second, that's also fine. I'll give you the extra second. No worry. For what it's worth, it is arguable that these two are the picks because this is the second time this question's been given. It was previously unused in another match, and those competitors picked the same directors. So for what it's worth, whatever the reasons may be, these are the two it falls to. Jay, back to you for 2 minutes.
I think this honestly goes back to, and I know that I'm repeating myself, and I know that judges hate that apparently because they hated it in the last round. But I think if we're looking at the movies overall, we can look at them and see that Dennis Dugan has a better track record than Frank Karachi does when it comes to Adam Sandler. Let's be real here. You forgot the worst movie that Adam Sandler did with Frank Karachi, and it kind of irritates the fuck out of me because the worst movie that Adam Sandler has done with Frank Karachi isn't technically Hoobie Halloween. It was all right. It was funny. It was It was the fucking Ridiculous Six. And guess what? I will take Jack and Jill over the Ridiculous Six any fucking day. 100%. Any day. I'll take Grown Ups. I'll take Grown Ups 2. I'll take You Don't Mess with the Zohan. I'm literally everybody says that they hate these movies, but guess what? They actually talk about these movies. And when they talk about these movies, they don't talk about the negatives of these movies. They talk about what emotionally impacted them, the funny moments in these movies, the things that connect with them. One movie from the mid-90s is not going to be good enough. The fact that you have multiple movies from the 90s moving into the 2000s when it comes to Dennis Dugan, and you can still talk about Adam Sandler with it, I think really illustrates the fact that this is the best pairing of director and actor when it comes to Adam Sandler. And if we want to get serious, the best singular pairing of a director with Adam Sandler is Mike Binder in Reign Over Me, because it's the most overlooked Adam Sandler movie on the face of the planet. And I wish I could have chosen him, but I couldn't. So shout outs to The Who and shout outs to Dennis Dugan for doing some of the best work with Adam Sandler that Adam Sandler has ever done acting wise. That's why they're the best pairing.
And that is time. And yeah, I'll call myself out mid-round. There's very few times where the competitor has had to fact check the host. But yeah, he is correct. When I was putting the documents together, I accidentally flipped 2 of them around. Hubie Halloween was directed by Stephen Brill. The 6th film was The Ridiculous Six. So that's on me. I apologize for that. With that said, though, we do have the 4-minute open discussion. Best of luck, gentlemen. Time starts when you begin speaking.
So I don't actually think it's about his worst work. You know, it's about what did he give the best work with. And I think Karachi is better than Dugan with that. You know, collectively, if you're looking at the worst ones, collectively, I'll take Waterboy, Blended, and Ridiculous Six over Jack and Jill and the 2 grown-ups movies. Collectively, between those 3, if you're looking at the worst. Nothing in any of his movies with Dugan is better, is more emotional than the scene in Click the last time he sees his father. That's a genuine, heartfelt performance. You know,
I wholeheartedly disagree. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wholeheartedly disagree. Frankenstein being taken away from Sonny, but I wipe my own ass is probably one of the most emotional scenes that Adam Sandler has ever done. And I would argue because it is a surrogate father being ripped away from it, or a child being ripped away from his surrogate father, because he didn't choose that. It was thrust upon him. He didn't have to do anything with Henry Winkler when it comes to Click. Yeah, that's an incredibly sad moment. But throughout Big Daddy, just specifically speaking, Sonny is trying to get rid of this kid, and then he grows on him, kind of like a festering wart, a pimple, if you will. But he grows to love this kid, and he tries to fight for him. What's he do with Click? He takes the easy way out. And yeah, you do learn the fact that he probably shouldn't have tried to take the easy way out when it comes to the remote from Bed Bath & Beyond. But he doesn't get that when it comes to Big Daddy. He literally grows to love this child, and then you see the crux of this movie where he gets ripped away from him. And if you want to talk about emotion in a movie, you want to talk about an actor and director pairing, I don't think you have a better emotional moment in an Adam Sandler movie with only a singular director. Also, I don't like the fact that people are taking shots at Grown Ups 1 and 2, because Grown Ups 1 and 2 are definitely better than Blended in the Ridiculous 6. Don't fucking give me that shit. Those movies are better when it comes to, this is what a group of people who have been friends for years comes together when they're in their 40s looks like. We all are getting up there.
It's just, but it's the same thing. It's Adam Sandler doing what Adam Sandler does, which is being an overgrown, ridiculous man-child, but with extra people this time.
Yeah,
the thing is,
making
you said the reason
loads of money.
You said the thing is, you said they get spoken about a lot, they get talked about a lot, but I think the reason they get spoken about a lot is it's what people talk about with Adam Sandler is that they're bad, and somehow this guy still keeps getting work. And the reason he still keeps getting work is because he puts in performances and he makes movies like The Wedding Singer and Click. These are movies that, when The Wedding Singer came out,
when is the last time you talked about Adam Sandler to somebody and they brought up The Wedding Singer without it being prompted? When you ask somebody what they're thinking about, guess what? They don't jump to The Wedding Singer. Yeah, there are a couple of very funny scenes in The Wedding Singer, but what they jump to are scenes from Big Daddy. They jump to scenes from Grown Ups. And yeah, you can call it recency bias all you want, but it completely shoots your argument down. You can't just sit there and say, I think this one. What you think is subjective. What is talked about and what is known isn't.
What is talked about is Uncut Gems, but it's not what's being discussed here. The thing is, with
what should be talked about is Reno or me. I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Either way, not by either of these directors. But I think you have to talk about the difference between his performances. I think The Wedding Singer proved that he could be that likable romantic lead, something he didn't really do again until 50 First Dates, which is not relevant here. And with the deep emotional performance, it's something that you get more from Click. You could have had that in Grown Ups, growing up and changing and all that sort of stuff, but it just wasn't there. It was just about typical Sandler playing it safe and being the ridiculously overgrown man-child he always has been.
That is an Adam Sandler style, and if you want to talk about that, you really can't when you have The Ridiculous Six, which is the most Adam Sandler ridiculous man-child movie on the face of the planet, because that's all that was. It was shit jokes. It was I want to fuck a llama, and Adam Sandler make for fucking an hour and a half.
And time.
Nobody wants to fuck a goat for an hour and a half unless they're Taylor Lautner, okay?
All right. Well,
stricken
off the list of possible celebrity guests I could ever get on this show, and he was fucking attainable too, because he hasn't done anything in about 6 years. I'd be his highest paycheck in a few years, and I wouldn't pay him anything. Joe, you got 1 minute on the clock. Time starts and you begin speaking.
I think it is tough to argue about Sandler's best work without mentioning Uncut Gems, but from the options we were given, The Wedding Singer, I think, is the clear winner. It showcases Sandler as a genuinely likable romantic comedy lead. Prior to that, we had Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, which were the beginning of Sandler and his trope of being that overgrown man-child. The performance he gave in Wedding Singer stands apart from that and showed what Sandler can do when he doesn't revert to type. Click gives us an emotional performance that wasn't expected and showcases some of his best acting, stuff that he's very rarely replicated. And since we're talking about an actor, this proves that his best work was with Frank Karachi rather than Dugan. And that was the essential question.
All right. Gotcha. We'll go ahead and jump that forward a little bit. All right. With that said, Jay, you have 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking, sir.
First off, I would just like to point out that Robbie isn't a likable character in The Wedding Singer, and the fact that somebody likes him is a little bit weird. Yes, he becomes a better character and a likable character at the end of the movie, but throughout that entire story arc, no, he's a man-child throwing a fit because he's in love with somebody else's girlfriend. what it comes down to when it comes to Dennis Dugan is, yeah, you have movies like You Don't Mess with the Zohan. Not a great movie. People still talk about it, and people don't mention the negatives about this movie. They mention the funny portions of this movie. It happens when it comes to, and I've touched on it time and time again, Big Daddy is probably the best emotional performance that Adam Sandler has ever given. And it was more emotional than it was in Click, because it was already something we'd seen in Click, and it was more emotional than it was in The Wedding Singer. Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2 is Adam Sandler to a T. It's a dude who wants to make funny shit with his friends, and it works. And what did they do? They chose Dugan to do this, the man that he's been most successful with. That's why this is the most successful pairing.
And time. All right, guys, excellent job. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast.
And bring in our judges. All right. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. There's no real fact checks for this round, except I've never heard more ineligible movies be brought up in a round, and only Adam Sandler could do that to us. With that said, though, Alejandro, I do go to you first. Who gets your vote, and what was the main thing that sold you?
I think I'm going to go once again with Jay. I think his point that Dugan had more hits with Sandler, that they deliver better performances together. I think that's all true. And to bring up a movie as Adam Sandler's best performance from like one of the first movies he ever did in The Wedding Singer, I like The Wedding Singer. That you can't just leave out all the rest of the stuff that he did after that. So I'm going to go with Jay for that one.
All right, so the first vote does go to Jay. Brian, I go to you next. Who gets your vote, and what sold you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jay as well. He brought up like more successful films with the Dugan. With Joe, he mentioned Racing or Click. That's it. With Jay, he mentioned more films that with Dugan than Karachi.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'll go ahead and send you guys to the back, and we will bring back in our competitors as we are heading on to round number 4. And off the back of the announcement that the next 2 entries in this franchise have been pushed for like 5 fucking years in the future, because they're like
we're
never
talking about
coming
James
out.
Cameron movies.
It's these films, Avatar and Morbius are the ones that it's just like they don't exist. They're never coming out. Listen, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for like March 31st. April fucking Fools, guys. Morbius comes out in October or some shit. Like it doesn't exist.
Mutants.
The franchise I'm referencing.
How dare you even bring that up? Of course you'd bring it up. You just wrote questions about it, didn't you? You fuck.
Oh, I haven't written any mutants.
Thank
Please
God
don't!
air it like a dissonance.
Please don't!
All right. Guys, question number 4 is, what is the best Mission Impossible film? And now my joke makes way more sense. With that said, we'll go ahead and get into it. Jay, I do believe you are up first, so the timer will start when you begin speaking.
This doesn't count as what I'm saying. Rue, shut up. Both of them are bad. Okay.
Okay. When non-New Mutants conversation begins, we will start the timer.
I will try to make this quick because I know that Joe is very tired because it is almost 4:00 in the fucking morning for him. What it comes down to when we are looking at what is the best Mission Impossible film, we don't want a villain. We don't want a shadowy syndicate organization that is defeated once off and you never see them again. And this is the main reason that I chose Mission Impossible Fallout as probably the best movie in the Mission Impossible franchise. Not only do we get to see characters and individuals that we have seen before, we don't know their ideas. We don't know what it is that they truly want because they may have been on the bad side. They may be on the good side. Double agents are all around. At least what we get here is like an impossible mystery almost to figure out. Also, you get Henry Cavill doing that. No, I'm kidding. But I want something that has a little bit more suspense built into it, and it's not something that can easily be solved in one movie. I like something that expands on it, and that's the reason why I chose Mission Impossible Fallout.
All right, Joe, back over to you.
So we don't have long, as I'm pretty sure this message will self-destruct soon. But the Mission Impossible franchise is one that's been a big hitter in the action franchise world since 1996. There's no question that the last 3 installments are the 3 best. But our mission, which we chose to accept, is which one is the best of them all. And for me, the answer is Christopher McQuarrie's first venture into the world of Ethan Hunt and IMF, and that is 2015's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I think with this movie, you like Fallout, it's characters you've seen before. It's the beginning of the Syndicate, later to be known as the Apostles. But I think with this movie, you got a director who really understood the franchise and gave it the shot in the arm that it needed. Took it in a direction that was different from the others whilst still maintaining the same tropes. And it also gave us Tom Cruise's best stunt I think he's performed in this, which is him hanging off the side of the plane.
All right, and that will be time. Jay, back over to you. 2 minutes on the clock.
Christopher McQuarrie makes great movies. You know what else Christopher McQuarrie makes? Great sequels, especially when he's working with a well-known property. And guess what Christopher McQuarrie did? Christopher McQuarrie made a better sequel than he did the original movie in the franchise. Why? Because you get a little bit more intrigue. You get a little bit more of a look into this, because now not only are you bringing in the Syndicate, also known as the Apostles, you're literally playing the impossible game. And if we're going to up stakes in every single Mission Impossible movie, this is what I want to see. I don't want to see, like I said earlier, and I hate to be the repetitious individual. I hate to beat a dead horse, but I want to see a villain that isn't just one off. I want to see a villain that has created this ideal in his mind that will survive long after they may or may not be alive, so they can fulfill this. I want a Hydra-like villain in almost every movie. And I'm not trying to compare these movies to the MCU, but this is what I want. I want a prolonged, I have to root this out. And it's not just going to happen in one movie where I can throw a face mask over somebody, or I can stop a cargo plane and I have to go to Cuba and I have to jump on a plane. I want to watch a movie where an individual actually has stakes. I want to see what this is. And in Mission Impossible Fallout, that's exactly what we get. We get the highest stakes that we have ever seen. And I know the farther you go in a movie, the higher the stakes have to be. We've seen it in action movies time and time and time again. The thing about it is it actually works surprisingly well in Mission Impossible movies, and they've raised the stakes just that much more from Rogue Nation to Fallout. The subterfuge, the espionage aspect is not just there for whatever, for no care's sake. It actually plays a part in this, and it works when Americans and the actual government don't fucking work together.
And time. All right, Joe, back over to you. 2 minutes.
I think Ghost Protocol showed us the true greatness of the potential of this franchise. I think Rogue Nation realized it. Until Rogue Nation, the franchise had followed the same formula. High stakes mission, team led by Tom Cruise, MacGuffin to find, crazy stunt, Cruise wins the day. Now, while Rogue Nation does do these things, it does them the best. And not only that, it also adds a completely new element to it. For example, with Mission Impossible, you had the Knock List. Mission Impossible 2, you had Chimera and Bellerophon. Mission Impossible 3, you had the Rabbit's Foot. Mission Impossible Fallout, you have the Plutonium Cores. But with this, it was about the Syndicate. It was about this organization and the villain. And like I said, it's a villain you wanted to see again. That's how good this movie is. It's the first time that they said this is a villain that people want to see again, because Simon Harris's performance in this movie is fantastic and intriguing and suspenseful. I think the team as well is really likable. Before you had Maggie Q and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers and Emilio Estevez, people that, and Kristen Scott Thomas, people that just went, no one wants to see them again. But with Ghost Protocol, you brought in Jeremy Renner. With Mission Impossible 3, you brought in Simon Pegg, and these became the mainstays. Obviously, Ving Rhames was, of course, the mainstay because he's awesome. But with Rogue Nation, it gave us Baldwin's Alan Hunley and Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa Faust. Not just allies, and it wasn't just the allies. It was for the first time in this franchise it gave us a villain they wanted to bring back. Fallout is the second best movie in this franchise, without a doubt. And that's because it's riding on Rogue Nation's coattails. Fallout was the safe sequel to Rogue Nation because it really did bring back just the tropes. MacGuffin to find, there's a traitor in the organization, we're going to end with a helicopter chase just like in Mission Impossible. It was all these things they said, these were good, we'll do them again, but Rogue Nation was the one that gave that franchise the shot in the arm and took the tropes and expanded on them. And I'll take hanging on the side of a plane over skydiving any day as a better stunt.
All right, and that will be time. We're going to go into the 4-minute open discussion. The time starts when the first person speaks.
If you're talking about high-low diving, high-low diving,
Yeah.
high altitude, low opening, that is not a quote-unquote stunt. Hanging on to the side of a plane while you have wires connected to you so you can't go anywhere is a stunt. What he did could ultimately be considered like an extreme sport, but people do this. This is an actual thing. And the fact that they bring more and more of this into it and make it more and more gritty and realistic as it goes on is what I want. Yeah, your movie introduced the villain and kind of made him a bitch. My movie introduced him and made him that sadistic son of a bitch that he is. What you want to sit here and talk about is you're gonna take your stunts over my stunts. I'm gonna take my story over your story. My story is continued by yours, but my story not only ups the stakes, but if you want to talk about this movie ending on a helicopter chase, cool. We can call it bringing it full circle. Are we going to get another one? Who knows? Tom Cruise is going to be 78 years old by the time the next one comes out. This might be the last one. And even if it is, it's not even necessarily a cliffhanger. It works as a bookend to the franchise, as well as a movie that can or cannot set up for the next Mission Impossible or the impossible mission that the Force has to take on.
But it's not even bringing it full circle because Solomon Lane is still alive. He's been handed over to MI6, but at the moment he's still alive because he was such a good villain in Rogue Nation and in Fallout, but they introduced him in Rogue Nation, and that's what made it key. And it's not just the helicopter chase. Mysterious villain with a code name. John Lark.
That's literally
Cobalt,
every
Joe.
fucking Mission Impossible movie, bro.
But it's been done. Traitor within the organization. It's been done. Trying to get
That's
them
every espionage movie ever. It's every
But
James Bond movie ever.
We're not talking about James Bond.
No, we're not. But you're bringing up tropes that happen in spy movies.
But it's
and
not
that's what these quintessentially are, is spy movies.
But it's not just and I'm not just going to talk about the hang on to the side of the plane sequence. You've got the underwater sequence with Tom Cruise trying to get the code, and it's not just that; it's the character development within that. You know, developing Benji as a field agent. It's the first time that he becomes a field agent. He says at the beginning, "I passed the field exam." You know, it's the 3 assassins at the opera that Tom Cruise is trying to stop them all, and ultimately fails because they bomb him outside. Fallout does the tropes better than the other 4, but Rogue Nation not only executed the tropes well, it also nailed the moments where it tried to do something different, shutting down IMF, giving the other characters their own action sequences, making the villain the thing being sought rather than another object.
So the best parts of my movie are better than the best parts of your movie is exactly what you just said.
I said better than the other 4.
You said what I chose as my movie is better than the other Mission Impossible movies. You can add a number to it all you want, but you said it yourself. And if it comes down to it, we're not
Fallout does the tropes better than the other 4.
Yeah, because that's what they are, and that's what espionage movies are. You don't go to an espionage movie, you don't go to any spy movie, let alone just a movie about espionage, let alone a movie about an impossible mission, happen to be called Mission Impossible, and not think that something won't be a thing. MacGuffins are a thing in these movies. The issue that I have with your movie is you have a good villain that is elevated in the sequel. Your movie laid a foundation that my movie improved upon when it comes to the Apostles versus the Syndicate.
Well, Solomon Lane you might say he's been elevated, but I think Ilsa Faust with Rebecca Ferguson, one of the greatest additions, probably the greatest addition to this franchise. She is she shines in Rogue Nation. She does well in Fallout, but she is the best she's been.
Rebecca Ferguson does. Ooh. I'm not even going to start because I won't have time.
And time. All right, we are going to go on to the 1 minute closings. Jay, you have 1 minute. You can speak about the movie, Rebecca Ferguson, whatever you'd like. The minute is yours.
Fallout does exactly what you want Fallout to do. You want it to up the stakes. You want it to rise this factor, and it does that. You want to talk about Solomon in your movie, that's fine. Okay, we have this iffy issue when it comes to Faust in your movie. So now what we have done is we have elevated both of those characters in the sequel, written them better, and made them better characters in my movie than they are in Rogue Nation. We want to talk about issues that happen. We want to talk about stunts. What I'm telling you is I am Tom Cruise's broken ankle. I just want to point it out. I did change my name again. What it comes down to is the simple fact that my movie has taken elements from your movie and all of the previous elements from other movies and put them on a higher plateau and done them to the best of their abilities. And you even stated that that was a fact. Whether you want to call it a trope or not, it's still an element from my movie that has elevated or been elevated because of my movie.
And
mine is the
time. All right, one last minute in this round. Joe, it's yours. Time starts when you speak.
I feel I should need to clarify that point again, but I said Fallout does tropes better than the other four. Those four being Mission Impossible, 2, 3, and Ghost Protocol. I did not say Rogue Nation. The Mission Impossible franchise is one that peaked with its 5th installment. The dip down is not exactly huge. In fact, it's a tiny dip down, but it's still a dip down. I'll happily say that Rogue Nation and Fallout are the best of the franchise, but Rogue Nation sits atop that pile. Its plot feels original while still being part of that world. The big Tom Cruise stunt is the best they've done so far. The supporting cast all get their moments to shine. Rames has been a mainstay. Peg is the king of the franchises at the moment. But Faust and Lane were so standout that they had to be brought back. A villain so good they decided to bring them back. And finally, they created a female character that could be Cruise's equal. Fallout is a great movie, but it's a safe choice for a sequel because it does all the tropes that have been done. And not just the tropes. It's not just the tropes. It's literally a helicopter chase. It could have been a different vehicle. It wasn't. Fallout is a great movie, but it's a safe choice for a sequel to Rogue Nation's near perfection. The successful tropes of the others improved by Macquarie's masterful hand.
All right. That will be time, gentlemen. Another great round. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back as I will go ahead and bring in the judges for the round. All right. And Brian, I go to you first. Who gets your vote and what was the main thing that sold you?
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with Joe. He brought up like the main stage for the previous films and some of the new cast for the film, even some of the stunts as well. So I'm gonna go with Joe.
All right, and Amaru, I go to you next. Who gets your vote and what was the main thing that sold you?
This was a really good battle. I liked how both of them were able to explain how Rogue Nation and Fallout, what they did better than the rest of the franchise. For me, they were kind of going back and forth on like stunt, story, how all of those were great. But one guy got it for 2 reasons. One, he had one killer counter that I didn't hear countered back. And also based off of those claims, only one gave examples for those claims and actually backed up saying, yes, it's better, and here's why. And to me, that was Joe. Joe also gets the point for me.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back because your winner by a final score of 3-1 is Joe Farrelly, coming out with the victory. Normally I'd stop and do an edit and do all sorts of things, but as Jay alluded to, it is just past 4 a.m. I believe now at this point for Joe. So we're going to go ahead and just get this over with. I don't need to do what I need to do that badly. But Joe, once again, sir, another solid performance. Obviously you had a bit of a thing on your back coming into this. You won the title previously. You never got a chance to defend it or really do anything with it in terms of proving your worth. You come in here, it's not taken from you completely. You do get to hold the title for the moment, but you still have to kind of fight your way back for it. And now at 4-0 with a knockout, you do find yourself in the finals of the tournament. You are awaiting the winner of either Jeremy Adams or Mehdi or Raymond. And just kind of get you out of here quickly, all encompassing. What are your thoughts on the match tonight, and what are your thoughts on that upcoming final?
It's funny because every single one of these kind of felt like a defense because I have that token to use. So every single one of these sort of felt like a defense in a way, and they've all been great matches. Jay, for a guy that said he did zero prep for this, really brought it. He won the Adam Sandler point very fairly. I think he definitely deserved that point. I said it to him. I would have given him the point on the video game actors if I'd have been judging, but different judges take different things from different arguments. And I think having the Mission Impossible one last was a great way to end because it really was the closest argument we had, because Rogue Nation and Fallout are both amazing movies and they are the best in the franchise. And if I'd have got Fallout instead of Rogue Nation, I could have argued that just as easily and made points and counterpoints just as well. And yeah, for a guy who did zero prep, that was an amazing battle, and I'm looking forward to it. Whoever I have to face, should be fun.
Do you have a preference out of curiosity, or just whoever may come?
No, because I've never debated either of them as they come.
All right. Well, go to bed, sir. You will be going to bed at least with some sort of a smile on your face. Thank you for putting up with the delay here on the recording. And you don't work tomorrow, do you?
No. And
good. Because I was gonna say that's an expensive bill for me if you make a mistake because you're tired from my show. So I just wanted to be sure I'm covered. Have a great night, sir, and we will see you in the finals. As I bring in his opponent, and as he says, judges go and judge. That is just kind of how he goes about it. Jay, considering you weren't supposed to be in this tournament at the start of it, you have done an excellent job making it this far. How are you feeling?
It hurts knowing that I feel like I countered everything it is that Joe wanted to say, and I got paraphrased in the Sonic the Hedgehog versus Detective Pikachu round, because it doesn't seem like one of the statements that the judges made actually listened to my full statement. They heard one thing about what I said, and then they went off of that and didn't actually. I digress. It hurts. It sucks. Nobody likes losing. No. It's a bummer, and I really did absolutely no studying. I was going to rewatch all of the movies that I had this week, and then I had like 3 matches loaded. I'm not trying to make excuses. It's literally just other things kind of take precedent, and sometimes you get the opportunity to do a little bit more studying than not. I had wikis open. I had IMDb's open during that entire last round. And I feel like even though I might not have used my words in the best way, I still made a pretty decent argument. I do feel like I had Joe on the defense more than he was on the offense when it came to a lot of our matches or a lot of our choices. And shit happens. Judges go and judge. This was still a lot of fun. And there's anarchy in the first like 30 minutes of this match. So I'm here for it. That being said, shout out to the judges. Shout out to Rue. Even though you voted against me, it's still Wu-Tang forever, baby. Wu-Tang for the children. Aaron, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it.
At least I could do.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, but thanks to Chad, Alejandro, Brian, Rue, and you, and most of all, good on fucking Joe for getting the W. I can't wait to see his argument. I hope he hits me up for I don't know, like a little bit of study or practice with his opponent's fucking choices, because I feel like I'm at least a decent arguer, and I didn't yell as much as I thought I would during this match, and I give myself props for that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, obviously I can't force you, so you can be done with this if you want to, but you don't have to be done with this, as you did make it to the semifinals. Everyone who makes it at least to the semifinals will have that second chance path. So for you would play against the other kind of semifinal finishers, so you would get the loser of Jeremy versus Medee. And if you play them, you will get if you win against them, you will get a number one contenders match to take on, should you win it, the winner of our first title match. If that sounds enticing to you.
Give me my D.
All right. Well, he's calling Jeremy for a title shot subliminally, but it's only because he wants to play Medee, and I can't lie, that'd be one hell of a match.
Medee gonna be too high to interrupt anybody, Rue.
All right. Well, with that said, Jay, thank you so much for being here, man. I don't give a shit how much prep you do. You do bring a show with you every time. And I do want to shout out, obviously, everyone for making sure that this match got recorded on behalf of me being very behind the ball tonight. But you were the person I feel like got it the most, just based off trying to skim through the messages while hearing you guys in my ear. So I appreciate you for doing it, man. I'll go ahead and send you to the back. And guys, that will be it. That is the first of the semifinals done. Joe Farrelly, proving his salt, moves into the next round at 4-0 with a knockout, although Jay coming in with a very strong performance himself as well, and proving himself worthy of getting that chance. He's himself 2 wins, and he could be in his own title match in the near future for making it this far. I do want to say shout out to Joe for the win. Shout out to Jay, and thank you to the 4 people who helped out behind the scenes tonight: Brian, Amaru, Alejandro, and Chad. Thank you to, again, everybody for making sure this match kind of kept going and was afloat at the start. This is not a reflection on anyone who has ever participated, because I shouldn't expect people who aren't in charge to make sure these things happen, but the rare 1 or 2 other times that I've had an issue that faltered me from showing up, the attitude tends to be, we'll do it another night. And these guys did not have that. They came in, they played, and we had a great match because of it. So thank you to all you guys. Please be sure to rate the video, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. And we will see you guys next week for another round of matches, culminating next Saturday in the second semifinal match in the 0-1 bracket, Matt Beer versus Sean Hunter. My name is Aaron Knoll, and we'll see you guys next time on the Movie Battleground. Take care.